Tucker Carlson recently came out with the January 6th footage.
I do want to tell you we have about 3 minutes before.
That's fine. The only thing I'm going to say is this.
You want me to pull it up?
Tucker Carlson was sent 41,000 hours of footage from Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House.
Yep.
So that they could comb through 41,000 hours of footage. And Tucker Carlson cherry-picked through 41,000 hours of footage, I think like around 5 minutes, of the January 6th insurrectionists like walking around peacefully and with the cops like walking them in and
Here
stuff.
it is. Here's the footage that they showed.
Yeah, you can even play it as like B-roll in the background with no audio.
Yeah, go ahead.
And for some weird reason, this is like a narrative that works for a lot of these fucking absolute morons. That like 5 minutes of footage on a very public event that we all watched happened 2 fucking years ago, live on national television, on my fucking Twitch channel, through probably a million different fucking angles because there's so many cameras there, so much CCTV footage, but also because the fucking idiots that were doing this shit were literally filming themselves doing it. You know what I mean? Because they didn't think they would get any punishments for it. They didn't think what they were doing was wrong. But I guess turns out like 5 minutes of peacefully walking through can make up for the 41,000 other hours of them being violent and psychotic. One of the key moments that I love in this is that they talk about how like the police were basically guiding them around, and I'm like, yeah, no shit, because you know cops are fucking they love the hogs. It's like pig on pig violence. Ultimately, they are one the same. And that is precisely the reason why they were walking them around. Just
here
like...
Here it is. Here's the footage that apparently is a smoking gun. Of the
like, why is this a smoking gun? We saw cops take selfies with motherfuckers literally on January 6th. Like, I was covering it live.
I'm confused because when I see footage of the cops escorting them into the chambers of Congress, I think that, oh yeah, well the police are also, as we knew,
hogs. Pigs.
Yeah, they're also like fascist, racist
pigs.
freaks. So I don't understand how this footage supports their narrative. I'm confused by it.
I think they're implying that like there's this other underlying narrative because they threw a lot of shit at the wall to see what stuck. Basically,
I do wonder what the fuck are these cops doing?
First they said it was Antifa. But then they were like, but also they shouldn't go to jail, even though they're fucking Antifa, apparently, right? So then that didn't stick. So now they're like, oh, the January 6th insurrectionists are political prisoners that must be freed. Now they're prison abolitionists. They read Angela Davis.
Why are they taking this guy straight to the chamber and opening the door for him?
I think it's partially because they were scared. I think that's what one of the cops testified at the when the committee brought him up to the stand. I think he was like afraid of like what these guys might do because he was walking around with like with a flagpole.
But there's like a whole mess.
And they are terrified pussies, so that does make sense.
There actually is an explanation for why they were doing this.
Tell me.
That the cops gave is that the defendant challenged the U.S. Capitol officer to let them pass, ultimately using his bullhorn to rile up the crowd and demand the lawmakers be brought out. They entered the chambers, the officer falling behind them until there was sufficient law enforcement presence to clear out the room. So the thing is they cut off what they show is this footage.
There's a ton of people already
because all the cops are outside trying to stop the crowd. There's only a few inside. These people get in. There's way more of them than there are cops. So they just try and de-escalate. And they're like, yeah, okay, just here, I'll show you around. They wait for backup, and then right after all of the footage that Tucker showed, a bunch more cops show up, they round everybody up and arrest them and move them
Which, by the way, some of these guys have zip ties and shit. That's also, they're not there to be peaceful.
This shot, I was like, well, there's like 10 cops here in riot.
So here's the thing. Well, here's the thing, though. Here's what I will say. The reason why, what they're trying to say, basically, is that cop that died of seizures, like, the next day, he was not hurt, is what they're trying to say. He died for unrelated causes, which I think is pretty funny for them to like do this like, ACAB style, cop murder is fine when we do it narrative, which is pretty funny. But also, I think they're trying to imply that like, I'm sure you've heard this narrative. Nancy Pelosi purposefully refused to bring in the National Guard, and Nancy Pelosi is the reason why the Capitol was not protected on that day, which again still shows that like that doesn't eliminate the fact that like these violent hogs were behaving in this violent way. You know what I mean? Like even if the cops weren't there, like that's insane. What they did was completely illegal and unacceptable.
So the part they don't show is that there's already a bunch of rioters inside the chamber. I'm assuming
That's what that footage is, him walking to the chamber, and yeah,
he wasn't the first one in there.
No.
So that makes sense if there's like a angry mob inside.
Yeah, they were
Also-
like trickling in.
I don't know.
through broken windows.
But I also don't have a hard time believing that some of the cops were sympathetic to them.
Probably.
Yes, they were. They were taking selfies with them,
Yeah.
Ethan.
Yeah,
they were taking
exactly.
selfies with them on the day of. I talked about this a lot.
To me, all it says is that the police were
Or
sympathetic to them.
Yes, the
That's what I
Capitol
see.
Police is notorious for like beating the shit out of disabled people in wheelchairs and stuff whenever they have the audacity to protest outside of fucking Nancy Pelosi's office. So these guys aren't exactly good guys either. Okay,
So-
I hate this like mainstream media narrative of like our hero cops were not being sucked off by the conservative movement today and they were being attacked viciously. But like these guys are pieces of shit too. Okay, they're not nice.
So the thing, I guess there's a movement to free the January 6th patriots. And I guess this is part of that, where they're like, they didn't even force their way in. They were escorted.
Mm-hmm.
So they want
Set up as a frame job.
They want to
Trap.
free the January 6th heroes. That's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, there's a ton of people in there.
Yeah, they were doing a peaceful prayer. Like that's what they're making it seem like. Yeah, brother. They were definitely they were there for peaceful reasons. They made it seem like it was like a tourist day at the Capitol, which I think is hilarious because again, this level of like reality denial is unimaginable to me, but I guess like the American conservative movement is at this level of cognitive dissonance that they will genuinely deny what they saw, which is not that surprising when you consider if you've ever talked to someone who is a conservative who went to the fucking Capitol on January 6th, and I know people that have, they literally still say it was peaceful. It was actually peaceful, and also it was Antifa. I'm like, bro, you were there.
There's
like you were.
videos.
Are you Antifa?
There's videos of them. It's weird. It's like
Everybody
it's all
but
there.
them.
Yeah, so I have to leave, but I'll just read this statement from the Capitol Police Chief. He said, the program conveniently cherry picks from the calmer moments of our 41,000 hours of video to incorrectly portray the violent assault as more akin to a peaceful protest. He added that Carlson's commentary fails to provide context about the chaos and violence that happened before or during these less tense moments. All right, I got to go. Thank you, Hassan. Nice to have you back. God bless. I know you're not happy about it, but I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. This
And,
was great.